Alright, so hello everybody, how y'all doing? Really, that's just great. So, uh, basically, today's video might look a little bit different. That's also because I'm on a different machine altogether. Uh, I wanted to talk about why I think that modern terminals shouldn't be as slow as they are. I want to preface this with something though. Bear in mind that what I'll be showing you are non-GPU accelerated terminals. If anyone dares to bring up Alacritty or any other GPU accelerated terminal, get the fuck out. I don't care who you are, you're using an external processing unit that not a lot of people may not have as fast as you do. Especially on this setup right here that I have. Real barebones setup, but it gets the job done. Anyways, and I'm also recording using that GPU, so it wouldn't be a fair test of speed either. So, what's today's video about? Today's video is about how slow today's terminals just are. It was so slow during one of my projects, or during one of my builds, for another upcoming bigger project that I'm working on, that I was really fed up with it, and I was like, you know what, screw that, I'll make my own terminal and shell, both in C, to get the utmost in performance. Before someone jumps in, my latest video about Rust, I still hate it. My standpoint didn't change. I do have to give credit though, I got a lot of suggestions and really cool ideas from you guys in the comment section and trying to explain to me as much as possible about Rust. I really do appreciate it, but I will not be using it. I just don't like Rust. I just don't like it. It's not my forte. It's not my cup of tea, if you will. But it was just a little sidetrack, just to be on the same page, because I do not like it when people associate something and I still won't be using Rust in any form, shape or form or capacity. And if the Linux kernel gets fully rewritten in Rust, guess I'll have to write my own, because I just don't like Rust. I just don't like it. Anyways, so terminals, they're freaking slow. Slow as molasses. They take forever to do basic stuff, like real basic shit. Tell me this. How quick do you think your terminal is? You think your terminal's fast, right? So here's something I want to show you. A lot of people will tell me that the fastest terminal, I even looked at all forums, old posts everywhere, new ones, old ones, archived ones, a lot of people tend to agree that XFCE is the fastest non-GPU accelerated one. Right next to Xterm, but Xterm is really basic, but it does use bash and other shells depending on what you give them. You're not limited to one shell. So there's one performance penalty already in there because it's using bash. Then again, bash has some really neat features that my shell doesn't, but I honestly don't need those features. Anyways, the reason why I'm mentioning this is a lot of people tend to not realize this, but back in the day when it came to writing code, you did not have any fancy auto completion, any fancy UI elements and stuff. All you had was it pretty much worked like a line printer. It was just printing lines of text or code in basic form. There was nothing special about that at all. Then again, today's terminals can do much more, but you know, I sat in my chair for a little bit, thought about it some more, and was like, you know what? I don't actually need any of this. So I just sat down for a couple days, well, actually a couple weeks, because I had to plan this out. And I was planning on writing my own terminal in shell, so I just, one day, over the weekend, I decided, you know what, which today's recording day is Sunday, so the past 2 days have been spent building this terminal window, and the shell was a work in progress for a little while. I just didn't have much time because I was spending it on my text editor, so I had to split out the load there. But anyways, I just want to mention I wrote my own shell and terminal, or created essentially. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is a lot of people will give me flack for not showing the code. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna show the code. I'm not gonna explain it. If you want a deep dive into the code sometime in the future, the reason I say sometime because I won't be having as much time on my hands as I wouldn't be normally, and I have other projects in mind. For example, fixing my editor is my top priority, so I'll spend most of my time doing that. But I wrote this show just to help me out with getting faster in writing. It does have basic like pasting, like copying and pasting of commands. Like I can like do this, and you can just copy and paste this way. And that kills it obviously. Then again, I have a really easy way of relaunching it, just like that, and it's on my other monitor. Great. Yes, this old ass machine has another monitor, believe it or not. Let me just go into the same directory. Let me just check the files, which is actually a pretty good segue into. Let me just clear this out actually, so that people don't complain that I'm giving someone an advantage. So this thing. So this is the place where the source code for my terminal tintub, which I'm making, lives, and it's nothing special. The only reason why I'm in here is because of this one file, this one right here, and I want to run a couple smaller tests first before we run the big boy one, which this one is the part of the big boy one, 1 gig file. It's like nothing in computing, in today's computing world, but in other spaces and places in the world, it used to be real massive, but in data science especially, it's like nothing. So don't think of this like a really massive file. We could even do a 10 gig file, it would still crush it. Anyways, so terminals back then were pretty much like line printers, right? And basically all they needed to do was they wanted to run a command and they needed to see the output. In some cases, the output had to be instantaneous. It had to be as quick as it possibly can be. In today's world with faster CPUs, developers don't tend to optimize their code. I'm not saying that I'm a guru on optimizing code. If you've used my editor, you know how really slow it sometimes tends to be, but it's still faster than other editors. Especially graphical ones, because graphical ones have to load in the GTK library or Qt library and other stuff. But anyways, if you're writing it in a lower level language like C, then you can really have like really fast software. You just have to know where to optimize to get the most out of it. So to make this even more fair, you're noticing this folder right here in the build file, so you can see it over here as well. The point of that folder is it's a library that's made by GNOME, and GNOME is actually using that library as their base. So I'm going to open up a web browser, which will take some time to open up. Come on, bud. Reload for me. There you go, it's loading up. The reason why I'm bringing this up is, I'll show you this page later, is look at these. It just loaded in. It's from the GNOME wiki, so I'm not pulling this out of my ass. These terminals use VTE. VTE is a library made by GNOME that developers can use to make their own terminals. And it makes it real easy to do so. Hence why I use that. It's also real good because XFCE apparently uses it, which is really cool. Then again, you have to bear in mind that XFCE has like security vulnerability fixes and such, which my terminal does not have. If you care about having security and other mitigations, use any of these. However, if you care about performance and you want a really performance and really minimalistic terminal emulator, you can use mine, if you will, with my own shell. But it's up to you if you want to use it or not, and I still won't be releasing it. There's some things I want to figure out, so bear that in mind. And this is the documentation for VTE, the library that I was using. that I am using. You can look up a bunch of stuff and they'll show you how you can add it in. I'm not gonna show the code for the terminals. In my previous recording section I did, and I spent too much time talking about that instead, and it was a bad idea. Anyways, so that was all I wanted to show to you guys. So I'm using the exact same library that XFC terminal is using. So if anyone comes in here and says that I'm using something else that they're using, you're full of shit. I'm using the exact same thing that they're using, so it's a level playing field. So shut the fuck up. Anyways, onto the testing. We'll be using the time command, the Unix time command for this, which is a really simple command for measuring how long a certain process took. So, let's see how long it will take to open up neofetch. Shouldn't take much time at all, right? 2.5 seconds almost. Bear in mind, we are recording on other systems, it's instantaneous. Let's over here. Time neofetch. I do not have auto completion. I do not plan on adding it in. Less than a second. So already we're looking pretty good. We're already faster than XFC's terminal. Then again, it's really basic. For some reason, it determines the terminal as tin shell, which is interesting. It's something I may work out, but it's still a work in progress. So what else can we do to get to show you that it's actually faster? Well, some of you might know about the root directory in Linux. It's a pretty big one. Let's time that. Let's go over here. Time ls-all. We'll be using -all for a reason, because it shows you everything. ls-all and / for the root directory in Linux. 0.72 seconds. That's 72 milliseconds. That's actually pretty fast. That's pretty good. Let's do the same thing over here. Time ls-all / and it's it's done. 0 milliseconds. There's no 8 in that. That's 0 milliseconds, pretty much. That's insane. So that's actually pretty freaking fast. It's pretty much instantaneous. No, I do not have scrolling enabled because scrolling is stupid. You can enable it, but it will add obviously some RAM usage because it has to keep that information in somewhere. But the commands do work as they would normally. This is just a different shell, different coat of paint, if you will. But it is faster and took almost no time at all, which is insane. So what else can we do? Well, these aren't really showing up. neofetch did show you that it is actually faster, that my terminal is faster. But is there another way to show you that it is faster? Let's clear the playing field. Do the same thing over here. Remember the file I showed you before, the test 1 GB file? If I were to open it up in my text editor, I think it's gonna crash, but we can try. -1 GB. I think it's gonna crash. Yup, it's overloading my memory. I have to kill it. I had to kill it. It was hitting my memory real hard. Yeah, so, and I bring up XFC terminal accidentally. My bad. Run command. Tintin. So, it was overloading my memory, so do not do what I just did. Bad idea. Anyways, I don't have that much memory to open the file anyway, so that's that. Anyways, let's go into the exact same folder as we were before. So remember the 1 GB file? It is pretty big, right? That's around 1 GB. In fact, we can do ls-all -h, and you'll notice that it is indeed 1 gig file, a 1 gig file. I didn't write this by hand. I used a script called make1gb file.sh. It just prints out a sentence over and over again on each and every line. That's all it does. Anyways, How do we time this? We'll be using cat for this. The reason why we're using cat is, one, it's a Unix utility that you can use on your own, along with time, and it prints out into standard output the contents of any file you give it. So for example, the test file 1 GB thing, we're actually going to prepare the exact same command here as well. Time cat test file dash 1 GB. And you have to bear in mind that we're currently recording, and we're already using 50% of our CPU to do so, even though we're using our GPU as well. You have to bear in mind that using 50% of our CPU, that's already half of our horsepower gone, so it will be pretty much twice as slow as it should be, so you can then guess how long each and every command should have taken on this machine. Which every performance benefit counts, in my opinion. So yeah, let's just run this, and we'll be waiting here for a couple of minutes, because this is one of the problems I have with modern terminals. They're just so bloated and so slow, it's insane. I'm not saying that my terminal is the fastest, it is not. I can definitely make it faster by rewriting it in C, but then again, it's not the point. My point is that you can make your own terminal that is indeed faster than this. It might have taken me quite a bit of time to get to this point to have a faster terminal than XFCE, but it wasn't that difficult. Like, with almost no lines of code at all, we will be able to beat it by quite a margin. And before anyone jumps to the conclusion that me using my GPU for recording is bullshit, if you wanna sit here for tens of minutes before it gets done instead of using my GPU to record this, I'm sorry. But you have to bear in mind, GPU accelerated terminals are just bullshit. You shouldn't be using those at all, in my opinion. You should just forget about them, don't use them, they're just slow and stupid. Also, we're using Openbox on this setup, if you might have noticed. So we're giving it the utmost advantage on this machine as we possibly can, with a really low RAM footprint, even on Ubuntu of all things. I basically took a Ubuntu installation and put Openbox, regular Openbox on it, nothing else. Well, with a few bits of software so we can calculate how fast it actually is. So, and I'll be leaving this in real time, so you guys don't count me on my bullshit. So, we'll be sitting here for a while. And this is using just the CPU, it's not even doing anything special at all. Regular old water, real freaking good. I'll actually drink just a little bit of water. So, while we're waiting here, you can let me know down below which terminal you're using and your reasons for using it, because I'll be using my own terminal from now on, because so far I've shown you that it is indeed faster than anything out there so far. Again, do not bring up GPU accelerated ones. I hate it when someone brings up GPU accelerated ones, because guess what? In some cases, not sure if that's the case with Alacritty, so I'm not gonna bring them up, but in some cases, if your GPU is too slow, it's much faster to just use your CPU for that. So, and most dev stations have a faster CPU than GPU anyway. Well, in this case, it's shit in both regards, but then again, any performance benefit we can get or leverage is better than nothing else, right? Also, if I sound a bit different, that's because I'm not in my main workstation. I'm at a pretty box standard old computer that I put Ubuntu on, got rid of GNOME, and put Openbox on it. It makes it into a pretty decent development station, believe it or not. And it makes it capable of running Openbox of all things. So I may consider using Openbox again as my main window manager of choice. I'm just considering it though, it's not something I will force myself to use if it isn't for me. Then again, I you know, I like this sort of stuff. Yeah, this will take some time to actually finish. Then again, I don't want to count it. I don't want to cut it in the middle of it being executed, because I would get called out that, hey, you actually manipulated this stuff and that stuff, and that's actually not the case. I'm actually trying to give it as much of a advantage as possible. And it's done. Oh boy, 4 minutes 18 seconds to print out this file. 2 standard output, mind you. Cat prints out the standard output. You can use it to print out the different files as well, I think, but I wouldn't use it for that. Then again, this is printing out the standard output, which is what you will be seeing on the terminal anyways. So yeah, 4 minutes 18 seconds under XFCE's terminal with bash. Bear in mind, XFCE with bash is renowned to be really freaking fast in non-GPU accelerated terminal land, which most people do use these types of terminals. Let's run with my real basic, real simple and easy to use terminal with my own custom shell called tin shell. So tin term, tin shell, you're seeing a pattern. Let's run it. So it prints out the exact same file. In fact, you'll notice that it ends off on the exact same letter. So it's the exact same file, but run from a different shell with the same handicap that I'm recording right now. I'm not stopping it to give it an advantage in speed. I won't be stopping it, because there will be a variable where I would have to wait the exact amount of seconds, stop it for the exact amount of seconds, and then turn it on again. That's not ideal. I'll be leaving this recording on this slow-ass workstation. I'm not stopping this. I'm showing you in real time that you can make a faster and better terminal than what is out there. I'm just fed up with software developers not optimizing their shit. Then again, my terminal isn't the best thing out there. It's really basic, but it does work. It has line wrapping and stuff. And I just use the library that's used by most terminals anyways. I just use a better shell, which helps with improving performance massively. So with the combination of my own custom shell and my own custom terminal, I have a overall faster terminal than what's available out there. Sure, it is pretty basic, but it does have, you know, color support if you use the right editors. My text editor has coloring support, not sure why yours doesn't. Maybe your developers didn't think of implementing it for some odd reason? I don't know. I thought of that. Anyways, this shouldn't take as long as over here, so oh boy, we're already at the 24-minute mark almost. 23 minutes actually, my bad. Then again, this is in real time, and the reason why I'm actually mentioning this is a lot of people don't think of this as much, but the more time you're actually able to save in other areas of your computing, especially if you're working with code, you can actually make your workflow much faster. Hence why I'm using Linux of all operating systems out there. It's not only faster on all the hardware, but with the right setup, you can have a pretty decent workstation on which you can make videos or even freaking write code, but you have to readjust. You can't just simply take the hardest and baddest distribution, put it on old hardware and expect it to just work outright. That's just bullshit. You cannot do that. What you need to do is adjust your expectations. So for me, running Openbox on this, since I was a Openbox user before, heck, I even have my own custom build of Openbox, which I may come to that back sometime in the future. If Valent is a thing sometime in the future, then again, if my estimate is correct, it will be a thing in about 2 to 3 years. So, there it goes. 3 minutes 7 seconds. Let's give it 3 minutes 7 seconds. And around 53 seconds in system time. Whereas on, I should have mentioned this, whereas in XFCE over here on the left side, it took 55 seconds in system time, and the system level, in the system user space, in the system space. On the user space, it's pretty much, well, not equal at all, actually. It's actually 5 times faster in user space, which is insane. Holy crap. But in the system space, it took the exact amount of time. Almost, like real freaking close there. And in real time, oh boy, that's quite a difference. So let's see if it's a tangible difference. I mean, you can obviously see that. So let's do some calculations, which is why I have my calculator brought up from the very beginning of this video. Let's take those 4 minutes and multiply by 60 so we can have a set unit. So that's 240 seconds, and let's add, that's pretty much 18 seconds flat almost. So let's give it 18 seconds extra. So that's 258 seconds for XFCE in terms of real time. We're only counting real time, people, so do not take these others in count. We're counting only real time. This is how long you'll be spending in total for waiting for stuff to happen. In the meantime, let's look over here. So we have 3 minutes. So let's clear this out. 3 times 60 give us 180. So let's do the same thing here, 180. And how many seconds is that? That's pretty much 7 seconds. 6.57, that's 7 seconds extra. And what are we looking at? 187 seconds. That's actually insane. That's actually pretty good for a terminal. So let's have a look at how big of a difference that actually is. So to calculate how something is faster than anything else, you take the slowest thing, which is 258, my bad, 258, and you divide it by the fastest thing, so 187. 1.4 times on average, holy moly. So 1.38, so that's 38% faster during recording, mind you. We are still recording. I'm not bullshitting you. That graph over there shows the real usage. This machine is real fucking old. So on average 40% faster than XFCE's terminal, which is insane. That's a big performance bump with my own custom shell and custom terminal. If you want to use Bash with XFCE, which a lot of people tend to use, you're leaving performance on the table, guys. And I'm not gonna even talk how big of a difference that's gonna make on faster machines. This is a real fucking slow machine. This machine is real fucking slow and old. I'm using this for development of all things. So the faster tools I make for myself and possibly other people, the better it is for me. But I rambled on for long enough. This should be proof that you should take the time to pick your right tools. I'm sure you heard the phrase that time is money. And the less time you spend waiting for stuff to happen, the more time you can spend on improving your knowledge, experience with other tools and tool sets. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to talk about. I wanted to rant about terminals being freaking slow and flexing with my own custom terminal that I'm working on. It's still a work in progress. I will put in the description the times along with pictures of the times. I'll rerun these tests after I'm done with this, so that it is as fair as I can possibly be, so that people do not call me out on my bullshit. So yeah, even though I'm not bullshitting you, you saw this happen in real time. But that's pretty much it. Then again, make sure to leave a like if you liked it, obviously. If you found this interesting and would like to see more performance metrics with other pieces of software sometimes in the future, or something similar to this, or maybe even a deep dive into the code behind like the components of a terminal, we could do that, but I have to see some interaction. So that's my rant on why modern terminals are slow and why you should just pick different tools outright. So yeah, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, share it around if you found this information in any way sort of useful, and I hope to see all you beautiful people next time. So yeah, see ya.